I'm going to try to give an idea of who John Newbrough is. Can you see this?
Yes.
Well, this is a bust that was recently made of Dr. John Newbrough by Dan himself, who is also our videographer today, Dan Winter. I commissioned it. This was about 6 years ago when I finally got down to completing the book we're talking about, The Hidden Prophet, which is the life story of Dr. Newbrough. And I was inspired to get an image of Dr. Newbrough made. John Newbrough was the person chosen to receive Oahspe from the angel world and bring it into our own world for publication. And that, in fact, happened in the year 1881 in New York City. Before I ever wrote his biography, I wrote a novel of his life. I thought there wasn't enough to go on to write an actual biography. I was wrong, but I did write a novel, and I called it amanuensis, and that's a word that nobody knows, but if you look it up, it means basically a scribe, and that's the role that Newbrough fulfilled because it was decided in the angel world to bring this new Bible onto the Red Star, which is the Oahspe name for planet Earth. And so they had to go about choosing an amanuensis, and at that point Newbrough was chosen. He was living in New York City. He was married. He had two children, a son and a daughter. He was a very, very handsome and very big man, very fit. He was 6'4", the same height as Abraham Lincoln. They were close to being contemporaries. Newbrough was born in 1828. The summaries of Newbrough's life indicate that he was a medical doctor and a dentist, that he was born in Ohio, that he, at the age of 20, went off to the gold rush in California. And then just as soon as that was playing out, got on the boat in 1851 and went to the gold rush in Australia and did well in both cases. He amassed a small fortune which helped him through life. But Newbrough was a extremely clairvoyant individual. This part of his life is very little known. He was both a mental and a physical medium. He could do the telepathic type of mediumship, and he could also do, for example, the heavy lifting, literally, of mediumship, which is it's called hyperpraxia, and it's the ability of people under spirit control to move very heavy objects. That's something he did while he was in Australia. In any case, it was sometime around 1877 that Newbrough was instructed by the angels to get a Remington and start practicing, start learning how to use the machine. And his progress was slow, but at least he was familiar with it. And when the angels returned in 1880, they said, get a big stack of blank paper. In the hour before dawn, Newbrough was awakened by a phalanx of angels and was directed to the typewriter, and for an hour performed automatic typewriting. The phenomenal part is that he typed at a speed quite different from his own earthside ability. In normal situation, Newbrough couldn't type more than about 10 or 15 words per minute, and with several errors. The Oahspe transcription was under control and came out at the rate of approximately 90 words per minute. So the typing was done in less than 1 hour each morning before dawn, and at the end of 1 year it was assembled into the book called Oahspe, and the angels furthermore instructed him to publish it. About 4 years after Oahspe came out, Newbrough continued to channel, and it was when after he got out to New Mexico, and I may be able to get a chance to talk about the New Mexico adventure. He did some portraits under spirit control. He did it completely in the dark. Here's one. I'm going to start with the portrait of Thothma from Egypt. He did the portraits under spirit control. He completely in the dark, using both hands, and get this, lying on his back. That's what the record says, lying on his back, using both hands in the dark. All of the prophets of all time were painted by Newbrough in this fashion. I only had one other handy to show, and this is Zarathustra, who was the first prophet of man 9,000 years ago in Persia. He was of the giant race. He was 9 feet tall, a gentle giant. That's Zarathustra. So that was part of Newbrough's gift, or what he channeled. After Oahspe came out in the fall of 1882, they started, the people that the book attracted, who were called Faithists, started getting organized and needed a camp, needed a place to bring on the new era. And one of their first locations for that was Pearl River, New York, which is just up the Hudson a bit. You know, I lived there myself in 1975, 1976, before I ever got Oahspe. I got Oahspe in 1981. Okay, there's a big story here with the Great Age of Spiritualism and how Newbrough figured in it, but that's all told in the book. The Pearl River Camp eventually became the property in New Mexico, in the Las Cruces area. That's where Newbrough and his gang of Faithists moved out of what we call meaning the worldly world, to set up their own colony. That was in 1884 that it happened. And the purpose, the mission of the Faithist Society was to bring in orphan children, was to set up an orphanage. The Shalom community in New Mexico was the attempt to bring into the real world these wonderful teachings. And he had a small, faithful following. People came and went, as they do in every movement. But the steady characters, the main characters, were Frances, who was his second wife, and Andrew Howland, who found out about Oahspe just after it came out and became John's lifelong partner. This is Andrew Howland, and this is his main sidekick. See, Howland was from this very wealthy New England family, but they were Quakers, so there was a Quaker background there, and so they were very progressive in mind and spirit. But he himself was a businessman. He was in the wool trade, and he was just returning from Europe when he while he was in New York before returning to Boston. He stopped in at his favorite book dealer, and he said, "Anything interesting come out?" And the dealer said, "Yeah, there's this new Bible came out." You know, it was really, I think, just that same season. Andrew took interest, bought it, and started reading it, and became a fanatic to read it and get through it. the following spring, made acquaintance with John Newbrough, and he was the money man. So he made the New Mexico project possible. Uh, and when when John died unexpectedly in 1891, Howland took over the project and even took over the wife. And that was the same year they republished the second edition of Oahspe, and that's known as the 1891 edition. They worked all year on the new edition. A lot of fuss has been made by the faithists over the years about what happened at that Shalom community in New Mexico. In a lot of ways, it was a disaster. Just as so many of our attempts have been a disaster in the 20th century as well. But there is such a different idea of failure and success in Oahspe and among the true faithists that we really can't speak in terms of failure. The fact that the Shalom community closed down in 1910, well, so what? They tried, and the main thing is to try. I don't put a lot of stock in what happened at Shalom, and I don't associate Newbrough's name so much with the Shalom enterprise. He tried. In fact, you know what they say? They say that John, when he went into spirit, when he consulted his teachers, they told him not to do it, that it wasn't going to work, but he had to do it anyway. You know that feeling? So that's what happened there. It's okay, but that's not the most interesting part. Newbrough's life really had its high point with the incredible production of Oahspe. He died in April 1891. The bad flu, was going around the world. It really was one of the world's last horrible flu epidemics, except probably the one in 1918, right toward the end of the war. Before I came here, I just finished reading Arthur Conan Doyle. He was a young man. He was in his early 30s, and he was struck by it in August 1891. This is only a few months after John died. And it nearly killed Doyle, too. He says, he was 30 at the time, he says, but now he knows what it's like to be 80. He survived it. It went around the world, and it reached the community. Actually, there's a rather interesting story how it reached the Shalom community. Some nurse, and the details are there in the book, but the children got terribly sick, and they lost quite a few. These are babies I'm talking about. Everyone got sick. His wife got sick, the daughter got sick, and the children were sick, and John got sick. Despite his illness, he went around tending to the children and saved a few lives. But meanwhile, his wife and daughter recovered, but he didn't. They called in a nurse and a doctor, and they took care of Newbrough. It only took a few more days. I think he died on Wednesday for him to pass, and he knew he was going to die. As I indicated before, not too long after John's death, a couple of years, Francis and Andrew had to marry because, there were rumors. You can picture it. Anyway, they married, and and so when the community finally did disband, they had 3 or 4 or 5 of the Shalom children that they were raising as their own. The rest were sent to the Bruckner Orphanage, I think, in El Paso, Texas. Today it's a tremendous challenge for us faithists whether the same philosophy of the 19th century could hold in the 21st. I don't think it can. We have to make certain adjustments. But basically, the point of interest here and forever is that Newbrough was the person who brought Oahspe into the world. So the question then is, what is Oahspe? Before I came to you today, I just took a quick look at this book I wrote, and I found something quoted from the Government and Laws of the Fraternities of Faithists. These are books that the Faithists themselves wrote up as guide for living. I don't know why this one caught my eye, but I will read it to you. And though we may fail in some measure, let us remember the generations we are raising up still have more advantages in practice, and their successors shall also advance still higher. Ultimately, all the world shall attain to peace, virtue, plenty, and wisdom. This is the message of Oahspe, the coming utopia. And it has a name. It's a new age for man. It's a new cycle of time. It has a name. It's called Cosmon. And maybe that's something we can pick up on. Maybe that's the thread we can pick up on next time.